former member of 100 Thieves has accused the org of not paying them enough to eat. This was huge, and the controversy only became bigger when 100 Thieves CEO Nadeshot responded to the accusations in detail. Let's break it down. Hey everyone, it's Liz. Before we get into this, I have to remind you, as always, hit the like button, the subscribe button, and to ring that notification bell. So before we get into all of this, we need a little bit of background. 100 Thieves is a large esports organization founded by Nadeshot, who is a former COD pro. It's grown to be pretty big with some of your favorites like Day as a part of the org, with Courage and Valkyrie as co-owners. In 2019, 100 Thieves signed The Mob, a group of content creators that consisted of Avalanche, Froste, Mako, and Classify. But about 2 years later, the group had disbanded and parted ways with 100 Thieves. That was over a year ago, and as far as we were aware, there wasn't any bad blood between the two parties. But this week, we've learned that might not have been the case. On August 2019, Froste tweeted, "Damn, I missed the Mob House," which seemed innocent enough. But it was his next tweets that started all of this. "Imagine we had enough money to where we didn't have to stress over where our next meal was coming from. Could have done some big things, but I guess we'll never know." A Twitter user responded to Froste saying, "Imagine you put all the effort in when you had an org behind you." To which Froste responded, "Imagine we did, but we were so broke that we could literally not afford to do anything that was worth filming." When the same Twitter user asked why they didn't simply ask the org for help, Froste said, "LMFAO, you have no idea how much we asked. It got to a point where it was almost pathetic. But go ahead, man, blame the 20-year-old kids that had no idea what they were doing instead of the $100+ million predatory organization, LOL." Responding to another user, Froste explained the financial situation, saying, $2,500 each in rent a month, but only getting paid $1,650. There were so many days where we had to skip meals because we couldn't afford to buy food unless we begged our parents to send us money. It was truly a wonder why Mako wanted to leave the mob and move back with his family." And in another tweet, "Me being young and dumb put all the blame on myself. Thinking about it now, I see they took complete advantage of us, and these tweets aren't even the half of it. Remember when Tfue complained about FaZe taking 80% of his sponsorship money? Try 95% LMFAO. So to TLDR this, Froste essentially accused the organization of being predatory when it came to the group's finances, forcing them to live in a net negative when it came to money. After these pretty serious accusations were levied, Nadeshot went live on his Twitch channel to respond to all of them. This is a pretty long VOD, about an hour and a half long. I watched it and I'm gonna break down what I think the most important parts are. Nadeshot started off his stream by talking about his humble beginnings as a pro, and then moving forward to build 100 Thieves. He said that he wanted to bring on the mob, but that they weren't very big creators to begin with. The first accusation Nadeshot responded to was the housing one. Nadeshot said the group chose to live in a more expensive house rather than a more affordable one.
"So we're gonna pay everybody $2,500 a month. You have to live in LA. You have to be here. We will help you find a home, but ultimately, this is your responsibility." Now, if that didn't sit well with them and that didn't feel right to them, I wish they would have told us that this doesn't make sense or we can't financially make this work. But that was never the case. That never happened. And when they were going and looking at homes, they were the ones that chose a $10,000 rent home.
Nadeshot also spoke about the budget the content group had and how it was used to purchase things like mics.
"We also had a $2,500 a month budget for them to use for content. To the best of my knowledge, they used that 1 month at one point to buy all the microphones and equipment for the Mobcast."
Nadeshot then addressed Froste's claim that 100 Thieves took 95% of the sponsorship money.
"That is unequivocally, undeniably, without a shadow of a doubt, untrue. It is absolutely untrue. There is no basis for Froste to say this. At one point, I have an email that the key terms of these deals that we bring to the mob, we would retain 85% of revenue. We did 3 deals for them. And two out of the 3 deals, they took home 65% of the revenue from that deal. Okay, 65% of the revenue from that deal. One of those deals, they made $30,000 each. It was a $200,000 deal. They walked away with $120,000, I believe it was. Okay?
Nadeshot said also besides the home they were paying for, they made about 66 grand a year. Something I want to make sure is understood that Nadeshot in his stream kept talking about work ethic and how hard he worked when he was younger. He compared it to the mob and said that they did not put in the work. Nadeshot also addressed the Uno tournament tweet where Nadeshot said that they would not have been there had it not been for 100 Thieves. So that's pretty much everything about Froste during the stream. Nadeshot talked about his beginnings, other teams, his LCS team at one point, but this is pretty much the most important parts of his stream. During or after this, Froste tweeted that basically this was all lies and that he would be going live to clear everything up. Froste went live for even longer than Nadeshot, so again, I'm going to be summarizing what I think the most important parts are right now. Froste started his stream by saying that there were requirements that they had to meet for their living arrangements.
We could not just move into any house we want. We literally, we had to be within 10 to 15 minutes of Nadeshot's house. Now keep in mind, Nadeshot's house is in the center of Los Angeles, right? One of the most expensive cities in the world, in one of the most expensive neighborhoods in the most expensive city in the world. The man's house is valued at over $10 million, bro. How are we supposed to find a house that's within 10 to 15 minutes of that? That's less than 10 grand.
Froste then went on to directly dispute something Nadeshot had said regarding Froste only streaming 40 hours a month. Froste explained that he was present on other members' channels. Later in the stream, he said that their internet was so bad that they would combat this by appearing on each other's streams so as not to overwhelm the one wire that they had for a while. Froste then went on to explain the financial situation, which I'm going to summarize as these bullet points. He said that there were definitely moments where everyone in the house had negative dollars in their bank accounts and could not afford to buy food. That the way they had to use the 100 Thieves content budget was a sort of reimbursement form that took weeks for them to receive their money back. That people knew they were broke, including Nadeshot. At one point, Froste claimed that 100 Thieves would not let them pursue a deal with G Fuel since they were in talks with a competitor. That deal allegedly never happened. Froste also directly disputed what Nadeshot had said about them failing to deliver on sales deals, saying that one brand, Fireball, loved them.
That agency is the one that my friend's a CEO of. I'm not gonna name his name because I don't want to throw him under the bus or anything, but he told me that Fireball loved us, that we were their favorite creators that they've worked with.
Froste also made the claim that 100 Thieves would not let them sign with a talent agency. This one's a little bit odd to me because going to current 100 Thieves member Kaide's Twitter bio, she is signed by United Talent Management. A couple of other points Froste hits on the way is that they had bad internet, were doing content for 100 Thieves that other members wouldn't do, and that he didn't tell Nadeshot about him skipping meals because he did not want to move back home. So that's the important stuff summarized. I missed points that I didn't think were super relevant, but if you want both sides of the story, both of these guys' VODs are on YouTube. This whole drama raised many reactions out of people, including 100 Thieves co-owner Courage, who shared screenshots of text messages and explained how he was hurt by Froste's actions. 100 Thieves streamer Burke AB wrote, quote, "I am proud to call Nadeshot not only one of my closest friends and also my boss. He goes above and beyond for the people around him, puts his heart and soul into everything he does with the company. One of the best in the gaming community and someone with the biggest heart." Before both streams, Nick Merckx had responded to one of Froste's earlier tweets saying that this sounded familiar. Nadeshot in his live stream response to Froste said he would most likely be never speaking about the situation between himself and Merckx. Former member of the mob, Classy, actually put out an entire thread detailing how hard he had worked as his only response. And that's about it. Most likely this is the end of it, but I did want us to leave with something to think about. There have been lots of people praising Nadeshot, offering their support to Froste, you name it. But a lot of what this conflict boils down to is the financial aspect of esports and content creation, the nitty-gritty that a lot of us don't want to see. It may be cool for us to see the parties, the merch, the sponsorships, you name it, but I think this tweet I'm about to show summarizes how I feel about all of this. Don't let the raucous Yas queening of Nadeshot drown out the open secret that esports teams are wholly unsustainable at all levels, and everyone is living on borrowed time from investor gambling, so f it, Scam City, baby. We don't really get to see the inside machinations of esports all too often. This week we got a little sneak peek behind the scenes, and as you can tell, it isn't always pretty.